we go. All right, beautiful. So hopefully a couple more people will join us. If not, we'll just practice together for a little over an hour or so, and you can please feel free to interrupt me and like ask questions if something isn't working for you. But let's start off with a little warm up together. So if you want to play along, I would suggest playing along. Go ahead and mute yourselves if you don't mind, just so we don't get all sorts of feedback. I wish we were all in a room together and we could actually play together, but unfortunately, here we are on the internet and we can do our best. So, just so everybody kind of knows each other, Megan is one of my long-term violin students, and she does violin and fiddle with me. And Jenna is my friend from college, and so we're good friends. We like to play together, and then this is my first time meeting Roger, and Roger says he's from Ontario, and he's been playing all sorts of different styles, so I'm excited to have him here too. All right, here we go. So I like to just get started by checking in with the posture. So if you are sitting down, I like to stand up when I play most of the time, but not when I'm going to sit and practice for 2 hours. So we'll sit down. Make sure you are sitting tall. Before you even bring your instrument up, it's good to like check in with your shoulders. So make sure your shoulders are back and down. You can take a deep breath and roll them back a couple times. And then maybe take a slow circle with the head. And breathe. And then switch directions at some point, whatever feels good to you. Be careful when you're rolling your head that you lift it in the back so you don't like crunch the back of your neck, if you know what I'm talking about there. And I'm actually going to change this so I can see everybody. Can I do that? Oh, there it is, that little button. Beautiful. All right. Great. So once you're kind of relaxed, your body's nice and tall, we can take a second to check in with the bow hold. And when we're doing this Irish stuff, it's important to not have the bow too tight, because if there's too much tension, you'll just kind of fly off the string. So my teacher recommends, like, you know, if it's all the way loose, you've got those shaky bow hairs, it's about 4 or 5 turns. So if you're playing classical music, it's more like 6 or 7 turns. But the Irish stuff, you'll get a feel for it, and you can kind of adjust as we go along and experiment. And there we go. So we'll start off with just a nice easy scale, because I also want to show Jenna what we're talking about here in terms of the chord progressions. So we're actually going to do a D major scale to get started. And Jenna, I think that's the second one on the chart. And the reason I want to start with the D major scale is because it'll also set us up for the A Mixolydian scale, because they're actually the same scale, just starting in a different place. So I'm going to pull up this chart I made for Jenna here. What did I call it? Today is June 20th. Here it is. So Jenna, what I put there for you are chord progressions in the scale. So we're going to play through our D major scale on the fiddle here. And we're just going to use a nice, simple, slow reel rhythm. And so a reel is going to be a dance that's usually counted in, either you can think of it in 2 or groups of 4, which are kind of the same thing. So we're going to count like this. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and that's kind of the easiest way to think about it. Eventually, we will want to count 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. But for now, we'll just keep it in 8th notes so it's a little easier to think about. 1 and 2 and 1. And the accent eventually will be on that second part of the beat. So that's what makes a reel, is that basic rhythm. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So we'll do, the fiddles, we'll do that on our bow. And Jenna, we'll look right here at this chord progression on the second one. The one I would recommend doing at this point, Jenna, is if you see D major, 2 sharps, slow reel is the first rhythm. You could do the full chord progression when you're fancy, but I'm not even that fancy. So what I would recommend is starting with that 1, 4, 5 slowly. And then you can do, for each chord, you'll go D, 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 G, 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 A. And I think it should be 15 chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Maybe there's one more D at the end. Yeah, I was trying to sing through this, but that should work. So try your best. Let me know if it works or not. Here we go. So again, fiddle players can check in with their bow hold. It's important that you've got like a real, what we do when we play the reels is we actually move our bow hold up a little bit. That's going to help you connect to the string as well. So you want your thumb to be on the side here, on the corner. Yeah, and then fingers nice and round, and is kind of able to compress if possible. So yeah, that pinky being round is going to help you out in the long run. There we go. And yeah, we move it up a little bit, okay? Again, let's take a nice deep breath. Roll our shoulders back. Relax the neck. And take another breath to bring the fiddle up to your collarbone. And then we're going to put our bows, it's like right above the middle of the bow. So it's about right here is where we're going to hang out. And we're going to use our détaché bow stroke. And we're going to do our rhythm. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and D major. Here we go. Arpeggio. Good. When we play the arpeggio, you can just stay on the D chord, because that's just D chord. Hopefully that sort of worked, Jenna. I'll do it again. I'll try to shout the chords out so you can kind of feel
just
where they are.
from one chord to the next.
Sorry, what?
For that bar, I just went, instead of doing D, 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 G, G, A, I just went D, G, A, D.
Cool, and it like going through
it worked just fine.
Worked fine to go through the 1, 4, 5 a little faster.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Whatever works, and like I haven't really played guitar that much, so feel free. This is just something I thought might work, so feel free to like mess with that and do whatever sounds good.
Totally.
Cool. And yeah, I would love to hear like, oh, this worked and I kind of figured it out. That'd be awesome. All right, so let's do the D scale. Let's do it 2 more times. We're going to do it just the same way. I want you to really listen to the sound you're making. Let's start over right here. Check the bow hold. Make sure your thumb is bent. Your fingers are round. And it's like the second pad of your finger that's connecting to the stick, except the pinky is connecting with the tip of the finger. All right? And then the instrument comes up, sits on the collarbone. And actually, while you're playing in this upper half of the bow, your pinky doesn't really do much. So if your pinky comes off the stick, that's all right. And you're mostly using the pointer finger to get that accent going. Yeah? These fingers are just there. These 3 fingers are just there to stabilize the stick. They're not really doing very much. Okay? So here we go. It's really this squeezing right here between the pointer finger and the thumb. Here we go. 1 and 2 and D again. To end it with a 5-1. 5-1. Okay? So that's just going up a string and back down. So now let's go ahead and do the A Mixolydian scale. And Jen, I put some chord progressions there I thought might work. Hopefully you can take some helpful information from that. And we'll do the exact same rhythm. So for the A Mixolydian scale, it's a really cool scale. One of my teachers likes to call it the Celtic major scale. So you can think of the A major scale. The A major scale has 3 sharps in it, and it would be the same scale as that D scale, but playing up the A and E strings. The Mixolydian scale is in the key of D major, or 2 sharps. So what we're going to do is it's actually the same chords from the key of D, but you're going to start in a different place. So if you're interested in some more of that music theory, I can tell you, but for now, let's just play it and get it in our ear. So this A Mixolydian scale is going to go up the scale that has 2 sharps. So we're going to go A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G. So we're going to have a low second finger on the E string. So that's what's different. I'm sure you'll hear it, and we'll try it a few times, okay? This is the scale we're going to use for Sligo, Maine. All right? It's a really cool scale. Kind of sounds major, but it's got a little more mystery to it, so I like it. All right, again, finding your beautiful posture. Take a deep breath. Rolling the shoulders back. Relaxing the neck. Checking with the bow hold. Make sure your thumb is bent so you can really control the stick. You really got this connection between that pointer finger and the stick, and then the other fingers are stabilizing here. If possible, you want a round pinky. Yeah, Megan, what's up? Go for it.
Do you repeat the top note?
No, let's not.
Okay.
Yeah, did I last time?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for asking. I didn't mean to. Yeah, we should just do one of the top note. Yeah. Okay, thanks for the reminder. All right, so checking in with the bow hold again, round fingers. So little comments for my lovely string players. So Roger, I'm noticing your pinky looks a little tense. You'll find it easy. Yeah, that looks a little better. Yeah, you'll find it easier to get a nice, good quality tone if there's relaxation in all your fingers. So you want to be able to be as flexible as possible. You can actually bring these middle fingers around a little bit more so you're touching with that second finger pad. Yeah, it's a little tricky up here on the bow, so if you're more comfortable down here, that's totally great, but the balance of this particular type of music works better here. Megan, I'm noticing you're going a little too high in the bow. So Megan, you might want to bring yourself a little closer to the middle. Not all the way to the middle, but a little closer to it. Okay, cool. Please let me know. Go ahead and stop me if you have a question. And here's what my bow hold is looking like here. There's some flexibility going on in these back knuckles. There's some extra stuff. Yeah, there you go. And another helpful thing is that you want to kind of put your pinky, it's not right on top of the stick, but it's a little bit back so that you can kind of push against one of the faces of that octagon there. Yeah, exactly. That's going to help it not like slip off the top like that. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. So let's try with that. We're going to do A Mixolydian now. So it's going to be, we're going to have C sharp and then we're going to have G natural. So here we go. 1 and 2 and A Mixolydian. All right, now I'm going to put the metronome on for us to keep me honest. And when we put the metronome on, you can now sort of hear where the beat is. And the cool thing is that we have fiddles and guitar together, and the fiddles and the guitar share what I like to say like a rhythmic, what's a good word for that? Like a rhythmic roll. So we all have like a spot in the rhythm or in the groove. And most of the time, the bass player is going to be on the downbeat, and the drummer or the borin player, I'm not saying that right, sorry, is going to be on the downbeat. I've been trying to learn the borin. It's a really cool instrument, really tricky, awesome instrument. And the borin actually kind of does both parts of the beat, which is the downbeat and then maybe the offbeat or the upbeat, some people like to say, okay? What's going to happen in the fiddle playing is we're going to mostly be accenting on the backbeat. That's what I hear most people call it, the backbeat. So we've got the downbeat and we've got the backbeat, okay? So when I counted it the first time, I was counting in eighth notes, which is not actually totally accurate. What I was counting for you, just so it's easier to think about, is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Actually what it is though is 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So you can kind of think that's the same thing, but you're actually sort of thinking in 16th notes. Most of the time though, the music will be written in eighth notes because it's easier to read and it's easier to think about, okay? So it's usually written in what we call cut time, which is 2 half notes. But what I've noticed is that once you start going fast enough, it feels more like 2 quarter notes, okay? So when I put the metronome on, I want you to sort of think about it as quarter notes, and we're gonna count. We're gonna do the same exact rhythm we did, but just with the metronome. Where am I at? I'm gonna start at 80, so it's not too fast. And we're gonna go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a. And it's important that we have that accent there so that once we start playing with the group, hopefully someday in the future, we'll be able to find where we belong in the groove. Okay, so the groove is the best part of this music because it really grooves. All right, so let's find it together. Checking the bow holds, thumb is connected to the stick, pinky's tapping on the stick, 3 fingers are stabilizing. Take a nice deep breath. Tall bodies, another deep breath. Violin sits on the collarbone, and we're gonna be right above the middle of the bow. This is pretty slow, so it might feel awkward, Jenna, for now, but it'll help you just kind of figure out where the chords go. So yeah. 1 E and a 2 E, go. That's probably the tempo we're mostly going to work at today. I want to show you the other tempo I would recommend, which is 102. And just so that's both of these are on this recording if you want to watch it again and practice along, okay? So let's do the same scale a little faster. And here's the general rule. When it goes faster, you want to think smaller. Okay, so we're going to use a little less bow and probably, Jenna, a little less just motion up and down, okay? Eventually, the goal tempo for dancing is 116. So that was 80. This is 102, and then I will try it at 116 too. So you can get a feel of it on the scale before we try it on the tune. All right, here we go. Da 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 da. Check the bow hold. Relax. Come on up. 1 and 2 and 1. Or sorry. 1 E and a 2 E and a ready and a go now. I just realized when I played it, we're doing 8th notes again. So sorry, let's go. And I think I did 8th notes on the 80 as well. I keep doing that. Thanks for being my guinea pigs. Okay, wait, let's go back to 80. And actually, we did it as 8th notes. So we need to do it as 16th notes now, which means we'll actually be twice as fast. So da 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 da. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there it is. So we'll probably have to stay at 80 because 112 and 16th notes is fast. All right, here's 80 again, but let's actually do 16th notes. One, two, ready, go. One and 2 and ready again. Okay, good luck with that. So there you go. That's where we're going. That's where we're headed. So you can really just think light and heavy, light and heavy, light and heavy, light and heavy. And that's the whole time, that's the reel, okay? So we're gonna go through 2 reels today. Yeah, Jenna, what's up?
For the sake of maybe any guitar players who are watching this after the fact, when we get to that fast of a speed, the strumming I use, when it's slower, it's the then it moves to sort of just the chuck of the boom chuck, like a.
So
Yeah.
are you mostly, did you like cut the rhythm in half then?
I'm mostly not doing the upbeats. Like instead of 1 and 2 and, I'm doing 1 2
Two,
2.
2, 1, 2. Yeah, that's great. And thank you for saying that, because I think I do that too when I'm, let's see. Yeah, you kind of take out those fast beats because they're not even necessary, right? The little beats, they're kind of gone. Thanks for mentioning that. That's great. Okay, so let's do that same rhythm now so we can keep it in our fingers. We're now going to do the D minor scale. So this is a harder key on guitar for sure. Good luck. If you just want to hang out on the D minor chord the whole time, you won't hurt anything. And on the violin, this is actually not too bad. You will have to use a low first finger in the scale, but the nice thing about the tamlin, the key of D minor is spelled like this: D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D, okay? So in the key of D major, or A Mixolydian, those share a key signature, which was 2 sharps. That's a really easy key to play on the violin because we're used to having 2 sharps. Going into flats, things are a little bit weirder, but it's okay. The guitar and the fiddle as well share a home key, which is G. So G has 1 sharp. So the farther we get away from that, the more confusing it can be. Yeah, Megan, what's up?
Does that mean all the 2s are those?
All the 2s are lows. Yes, all the way across. Yes, we've got G. B flat is on the G string low too. F. B flat. Yeah, all of them are low. And then you've got, do you know where the low first fingers are in the key of D minor?
A and E.
A and E, yeah, okay, you got it, exactly. So let's slowly, the nice thing though about the tamlin is we're not actually gonna have to use that B flat. So it's good to know where it is, but I do like to do this real because you don't actually have to worry about pulling back the first finger for the B flat, but it's good to know where it is anyways. We are gonna use it on the G string, and on the G string it's gonna be just this low second finger, and we're not gonna use it on the A string. So for now, the scale we're gonna do is gonna start, well, we'll have to do it on the D string. And we'll walk our way up just so we hear the scale. So it'll sound like this. Okay, so there's the D minor scale, and we'll go through it 5 times with the metronome on, and I'm sure you'll start to get it in your ear. We'll do the same exact pattern, and then when we're done with this scale, we'll start going into the tunes, okay? So here we go. D minor scale is our next one that we're using today. And these are just 2 of my favorite scales also, so I love practicing them because I'm a nerd. So here we go. Go ahead and check your bow again. Make sure your fingers are nice and round. Your thumb is bent so you have that control. Take a deep breath. Make sure your body posture is nice and tall so we're not giving ourselves any back problems when we're old. Here we go. Make sure your neck's nice and soft. And another deep breath. Bring the instrument up nice and tall, supporting with the left arm as well as dropping the head. So you don't want to be like coming forward with the head. You're just tucking the chin and lifting with the arm so we can get a really nice, loud, clear sound. Here we go. A little bit above the middle, and we'll go 1 E and a 2 E and a ready, go. Let's do that at half speed once. Here we go, half speed. 1 E, 1 and 2 and ready and go and. Arpeggio. Again, half speed. Okay, Good. So let me know if there's any questions at all about technique. Otherwise, we'll just do 2 more times, but actually full speed. Something that I've had a couple teachers remind me about recently, as you're adding the accents, it's not as complicated as it may seem. So all you're doing when you're adding that accent to change the pressure, it's mostly just happening right here in what I call the crab claw. So I might have talked about that in my class 2 weeks ago, so you might remember that. And Megan, this is what we used for détaché, and we also use it for martelé, okay? And you want to keep that pressure in the whole time, but you can start to play with different amounts of, actually it's good to call it weight. So you're thinking of sinking into the string and not squeezing really hard. So sinking in, you can start to play with different amounts of weight. That's what I've been doing recently. It makes it just sound so interesting. You can start to really manipulate the shape of what you're doing. I'm sure on the guitar that translates as well. It starts to sound more interesting, right, when you're changing how heavy you're hitting the strings or how light. Mm-hmm. So that's this first rhythm, but as you'll notice as we start to do the tunes, you can start to kind of shape it a little bit more, finesse it a little bit as you're controlling that amount of weight. So I encourage you just to notice, how am I controlling that weight, and really being aware that it's coming from, I think on the guitar it's just how hard you're hitting it, but on the violin it mostly is coming from these 2 fingers on the bow. All right, 2 more times, D minor scale, and then we'll go on to the tunes. Here we go. 1 and 2 and tucka 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 tucka. 1, 2, ready, D. Ready, steady, again, same thing, go. All right, there you go. So I would recommend practicing scales before you get into the tunes, because it kind of gives you some structures to tap into. Like, okay, this is in the key of D minor. I know what chords are included in D minor. It makes it easier to remember songs, and it makes it easier to just understand why the notes are where they are. Cool. So let me know if there's any questions at this point. Otherwise, I think we should start with the tamlin, just because everybody, I don't know if Jenna, this one might be, I know this one is tricky on the guitar, but we're going to actually start with the second half, because I want to talk, I think this will be a good, actually it might be worth reviewing the first half, just because, Megan, did you watch my class from last time, or we've talked about the up bow slurs sometimes though, right? Have you ever tried this first part? Have you ever done that, Megan, or no? It's okay if not.
I tried it once, but it completely failed.
Thank you for your honesty. Okay, cool. So I might just start right at the beginning again and do, it won't be as in-depth as the B part, because that's already in a video. But I think it'd be worth reviewing the A section. The chords are actually harder on this A section, Jenna, than the B section, but they're pretty repetitive, so it'll be really good for you to practice through those chord progressions. Jenna, have you found the cheater B minor chord? Did I show that? Or B flat major, excuse me. Did you find that cheater B flat chord?
You taught it to me last time. I'm going to Google it.
Okay, I don't mind showing you again real quick.
Okay. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, we've got such a tiny little class today, we might as well just make sure you have everything you need.
Can you check that I printed out the right music?
Do you want me to check? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, show me.
I couldn't find any with the slurs on them.
Were there no slurs? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the one I made. That's the one I made to help people with counting rhythm. So that one is actually just for rhythm, learning the rhythm and counting it in
Only
cut
one I
time.
could find.
Weird. Okay, let me send you directly to the correct one. So sorry about that. There was definitely a couple on there. So Megan, would it be, can I just put it in this chat on Zoom? Is that okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, here it is. Get the shareable link. So that one, Megan, is the human metronome strategy. So that, have we talked about human metronome before, Megan? Just subdivide, yeah, I thought so. So just subdividing everything. So if you're struggling with the rhythm, which I don't think you will be, you can use that one as a way to just subdivide all of it. And so it's all 16th notes or 8th notes, depending on how you're thinking it. But right here is the one that's actually got the slurs in it and the quarter notes and stuff. And that one, Megan, has 3 versions, but it should be pretty obvious. It says violin, viola, and cello. So what I'll do is, I'm gonna show Jenna first. Megan, are you gonna print that out again? Sorry about that. Megan's gonna print that out, perfect. Then I'm gonna give Jenna a mini guitar lesson. And Roger, you can play along with us if you want. We're just gonna do the chords for the first half, and you can kind of see if those slurs make sense and if you can read them. You might notice the first measure starts down bow just to kind of get you into it, and then all the rest of the measures are starting up bow. And that's the first pattern that I'm gonna review today, slurring up bow over the downbeat. And that's gonna get us into this accent that we just were working on, that same backbeat accent. Light and heavy, light and heavy. There's the slur. That's like really obnoxious about the accent, but it's helpful hopefully to hear that. So
yeah, good. Yeah, this is the way I was doing it before. I started out just open G, like an up pull. I go. So what am I doing it that's different from your sheet music right now?
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty okay bowing, and that's the same bowing. I would do that in the first measure because it's helpful to kind of get yourself into it, starting down bow. However, what I would say is that bowing is going to make it difficult to get the accent on beat 2. And so you want that 1 and 2 and 1 and, because that's what's creating the groove, is the fiddles and guitars being heavier on that second beat. So it's nice to have a down bow on the heavier beats because it's just easier to make it louder, okay? So what I would do, instead of slurring, you're going down, up, down, up, down, up. I would go up, down, 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 up. Because then you go, and when you hit the open D, that's where the accent is, and then it's always on a down bow. You're doing this. And then you have this weak beat right here. And that's not as desirable in terms of the groove to get that second beat heavier. Does that help?
It does enormously. Thank you.
Awesome. Totally. Yeah, that's a big deal. Okay, so Jenna, this is those. I'll play the chords through slowly so you can watch my fingers and play along. And then Roger, you can get it. Megan, do you have the music? All right. Did you find it? The right one? Cool. Yay. And it has slurs and it says violin and it has all the things. Okay, great. Perfect. Now we're all on board. All right. So let's work on the tamlin for like 15 minutes. I'll play it a few times for Jenna, and the fiddlers can fiddle along and try their best to read my slurs. Good luck. And then I'll practice it with you on the A part, and then we'll talk a little bit about the second part, and then we'll take a break. So we'll do about 15 minutes on the tamlin, take a little break, and then come back and do the other 2. Okay, here we go. So here are the chords, and let's see, I'll kind of do this so Jenna can really watch my fingers. All right, so what I do, Jenna, is I do D minor like this, and then I do B flat. This is totally cheating. Actually, it's pretty close to the bar chord, which would be this, but bar chords make my hands cry. So it's just like A, but it's up a half step. So the nice thing is going from D minor to B flat is your first finger stays in one spot. So let me show you that again nice and slow. Here's D minor. B flat, you get all 3 fingers in a row on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. Yep, that's it. Your first finger's on the 1st string the whole time. And then we go to C. And you'll probably have to practice going slowly, going back and forth between B flat and C. It took me a while to get those to happen. So yeah, you can practice that. So I'll go kind of slow and I'll sing the melody, okay? So you can just hear where the chords go and we'll all do our best. Here we go. 1 and a 2 and a ready and a go. Da dum dee dee da dum dee dee da dum dee da da dee da da dee da da dum dee da dum dee da dum dee da da I forgot the chords, LOL. Let's look at them again. And I'll do that a couple times. I just was trying to get in. Oh, here, I put it on here. Beautiful. I'll do it a couple more times just to kind of get into the chords, and then I will put the metronome on and slow it down, and we'll break it down together so we really, really get it. All right, here we go. Tamlin again, the first half. I'm going to do it twice again without the metronome, and then I'm going to switch and we'll break it down into some sections that you can hopefully wrap your mind around. All right, here we go. Whole A part 2 times. 1, 2, ta, 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 go 1, and ready, go. Dum, dee, dee, da, da, to C, to B flat, to C, to D minor, dee, da, da, dee, da, 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 dee, da, 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 repeat, da, 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 dee, da, da, dee, da, da, dee, da, dee, da, and that's the whole A part. So there you go. All right. Let's break it down a little bit to give everybody a chance to just wrap their minds around what happened. Jenna, I'm going to switch to the fiddle. Please let me know if there's any point where you're like, I need to hear the chords again. Hopefully you're starting to sort of hear at least where they're supposed to go.
I'm good, just slow.
Good, but just slow. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's great. And this will be good because then my fiddle players can just like really watch and figure out where the heck are those slurs, okay? So we'll break it down in 2 measure chunks. Actually might start with 1. So you'll notice, hopefully, that in this sheet music that we're looking at here, the first measure starts down bow, and that's just kind of a trick. This is, Roger, this is the bowing you were doing, this first measure only, okay? And that's really only just to get started and for everyone to be like, here is the beginning. Another way to start it is actually to start like with a pickup, but I decided for teaching purposes, it was good to learn it without the pickup. And then eventually you can add in the pickup, which would be open G. You're right, there would be an open G pickup to this tune. If you do the open G pickup, you know, you could start at an up bow. And then it would be the same bowing the whole time. So there's, you know, there's options. Yeah, exactly. The goal though, if you look at measure, so if you look at like the last note, so the last note of the first line is open G. So go ahead and look at that note right there. That would be the pickup, and in that case it would be up bow. So you could put a little open G at the beginning. For now though, we're gonna do exactly what's on this paper, and I'm gonna go through really slowly, okay? I'm gonna do the whole thing once, and then I'm gonna break it down in one or maybe 2 measure chunks eventually as we get it going, okay? Here we go, from the beginning, nice and slow. I am gonna do the whole A part, which is the first 4 lines. Or Jenna,
A little bit of feedback, Mikela.
oh yeah, sometimes this microphone decides it's like angry at me. So let's just unplug it. It just, if I do it just with my laptop speaker, it doesn't usually, you can't hear everything. Okay, and ta-da, is that better? And now we're doing the microphone again. Does it still sound okay, or are there scratchies? We're good? Okay, great. All right, here we go. From the beginning, so this is gonna be the A part, Jenna gets to play the same line twice. Everybody else, it's written out exactly for you. We'll go really slow, and I'll shout out where we are. Line 1. 1, 2. 1 and 2, go. B minor. We'll practice it together. I also practice this in like extreme detail in my other videos. If you feel like you need more details, I can send you that one. So let's do this. Let's do 2 measure chunks. I think that'll be fine. So when we're talking 2 measure chunks, we are going to go into the downbeat of measure 3. So we're going to start at measure 1. We're going to play measure 2, and we are going to play the downbeat of measure 3, which starts on the C chord. So Jenna, you'll be doing this. D minor, B, and a B flat, and a C. And we're going to stop on the C chord. So we're just doing the first 2 chords.
And just so you know, I'm following along in the sheet music, so you can use that.
Fantastic. Okay, great. I forgot you can read sheet music. That's fantastic. All right, yeah, so we're all just going to do the first 2 measures and stop on the downbeat of measure 3. All right, here we go. We'll rep that 5 times, and then we'll move on, and it should start to gel together as we're going slowly, okay? Here we go. First 2 measures 5 times. 1, and, or sorry, we'll check our shoulder. We should check our posture again. The bow hold, check in with your thumb, check in that pointer finger is connected to the stick. The pinky is hopefully relaxed and flexible. Nice deep breath. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed so you're not having a lot of tension while you play. That'll just make it happier overall for all of us. 1 and 2 and ready, go. And again and go. So you'll notice the accent in these 2 measures always ends up on the open D, okay? So even though the first accent, which is on beat 2 of measure 1, the first accent is an up bow because of this bowing. So it still should get a little squeeze with the pointer finger. So we're gonna go. So make sure that accent is always there for you on the open D. Let's do it again. 3 more times. Here we go. 1, 2, beginning, go. Okay. It'll sound a little annoying now, but when it goes fast, it'll sound really cool. So do it 2 more times, same way, same speed. 1, 2, and ready, go. Again, 1 more. And we'll stop right there, okay? Now what we can do, as long as there's no questions, please feel free. I can't see you when I'm practicing this, so I'm trying to look at the music and be very exact. So feel free to stop me. Now let's practice the next 2 measures. We'll just go for like 2 or 3 more minutes and we'll take a little break so our brains can recover. All right, here we go. From the beginning of measure 3, which starts on a C chord, and it will be an up bow. And actually, I think we should start on the pickup, which is on the note B flat. So we're going to start on the pickup, which means, Jenna, you're going to come in on the downbeat with us. And we're going to start right before the downbeat on B flat. So we get that up bow slur together. So we're going to start on the last note of measure 2, which is a B flat. Here we go. And we're going to play all the way to the downbeat of line 2. Okay? You'll probably, hopefully that made sense. If not, here it is. 1, 2, ready, go. again. 1, 2, ready, go. The accent is still in the same place. It's always in the same place. And we'll try it 3 more times. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. 1, 2, same spot, go. And again we go. And one more for now. Okay? So the last thing, I think that should be enough for you to then go through that first part. I would recommend breaking it down in 2 measure chunks. If you're really motivated to get it, it helps a lot to see if you can isolate these parts. This is a very kind of classical way of thinking of practicing to break things down like this, but I've had my fiddle teachers suggest this to me as well at a higher level. If you're really dedicated to figuring out all those little bits, it's really good to take it in small chunks like that and really listen to yourself. So before we take a little break, let me just introduce the next bowing pattern to you so you can like sort of look at it. And then after, we'll take just a tiny break. After that, we'll go into the other tune and you can kind of see how the bowing patterns are the same across all the reels, which is really nice. This might be different in Quebecois style, I'm pretty sure it is, but a lot of these similar bowing patterns crop up a lot in different styles because they are so comfortable. So let's look at this second part, the B part. And I actually want to bring your attention to these little things. I drew them as 16th notes here. Sometimes people call them bow triplets, and sometimes people write them as 16th notes, and you can kind of play them both ways if you want to get really picky and obnoxious. But the easiest way to think about it is really just a little stutter in the bow. You want it to be really bitey, so why don't we all try that together? And Jenna, I've seen people do this on the guitar, and it's just a double time stroke, double up, you know, or double down, up, down. Yeah, so it's just double speed. And that's all that's happening in the bow as well. You have this. So let's try that together. You want to make it really pinchy and just kind of gritty. It's supposed to sort of sound percussive, like you're drumming on the strings. You want that sort of really percussive consonant sound. And you'll see that it comes in, yeah. And I think it has to happen really fast and really small. Digga-da, digga-da. I've never really done it on the guitar, so good luck. I am a very mediocre guitar player, so I'll do my best to explain things for guitar, and you can experiment to your heart's content. So let's do this. I'll play the B part for you so you can kind of just see what I'm doing, and then we'll take a tiny break and come back to the other two. The nice thing is, all of this information is just going to carry across all the Irish reels you ever learn. It's all the same stuff, which is really kind of comforting. Once you learn a bow pattern, you can really keep that bow pattern and return to it many times. So you'll notice it starts with this same up bow slur business on the B part, okay? Oh, Megan's gone. Bye, Megan. And then I'll show you how those bow triplets or the 16th notes are going to sound. Here, let me add Megan back in here. Sweet. Okay, so we're starting off on the B part, which is line, I didn't put A or B, but it's line, you'll see where the repeat is. It's line 5, okay? So we're going to start on line 5, and we're going to do it twice. I'll do it nice and slow so you can follow my bow patterns and play along if you'd like. And see where they go. The chords are a little easier in this section as well, which is nice. So, dee da 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 dee da. Bow 1, 2, B part, here we up bow. down just this kind of tricky part with the triplets. We'll play it 5 times and we'll take a break. Here we go. So we're actually going to start on the 3rd measure. You'll see there's a C chord above where we're going to start. And I'm just going to do this rhythm a few times. Please let me know if there's any questions. Otherwise, I know it's more helpful if I just play it and you can watch and try it. So here we go. Starting at the C chord, we're actually going to start on the B natural, okay? And the B natural is the pickup to the downbeat where the C chord is, okay? And so here's the bow pattern we just talked about a million times. Slurring up bow over the downbeat, and then we're going to slur down bow out of the triplet or the 16th note bow stutter thing. So here it is, really slow. 1 and 2 and. Let's do that. We'll just do 1 measure. Just the pickup to the C measure, and we're just going to do actually the first triplet so you can really get it. We're going to loop it. From the B natural. Ready, go. Again, ready, go. And again, go. And remember, the accent is on the first note of the triplet, or the bow stutter. Hopefully you can hear that. That's where I'm squeezing. Let's do 1 more. Ready, go. And I forgot the accent, so here it is. 1 more time. Okay, and now let's do 2 of them in a row. It's almost the same notes. Ready, go. Again, up bow. And 3 more times. Sorry, I started down bow. Up bow, go. Again, 2 more. Up bow, sorry, go now. Ready, go. Up bow, here we go. And last one for now. Now here, you'll see at the end of the tune, I just wanted to kind of bring your attention to this right at the end, and then we'll take a little break. DC with repeats. The second time through, when you repeat it, the down bow at the beginning should turn into an up bow, and you should do the bowing, let's say, the same bowing that's in, it'll be the same one that's in the 3rd line. So basically, you can replace the first line with the 3rd line when you repeat it back around, okay?
Sorry, just to clarify, Mikela, every time there's a slur, it's always an upbeat, up bow. That's how it goes?
Great question. And so that's kind of why I'm bringing up these 2 patterns. So we'll, yeah, go ahead and take a little break. If you need it, get some water. We'll come back in like 5 minutes to start. And Roger, I'll answer your question. So you almost always, the slur is up bow, okay? Most of the time. And that's going to happen on that. It's going to be a beat and a half, okay? So it's a beat and a half slur, and it usually happens over the downbeat or over beat 3 because you're setting yourself up to accent beat 2 or 4, okay? That's most of the time what you're doing, okay? Then, however, when you get to those bow triplets, have you heard of those bow triplets before? Have you done those? That takata?
Yeah.
You've done those?
Yep. Yes, I have.
Something. Okay, great. This is when you slur down bow, is when you're coming out of one of those. Because those happen usually on a down bow, takata ya. And so you slur out of the, slur down bow out of the triplet. So the 2 patterns that come up all the time are slur up bow over the downbeat or slur down bow out of the triplet.
Okay.
Yeah, and so those are the patterns that have just like unlocked everything for me. You're not always going to do that. Then there's always room for improvisation and things like that. But you know, I think it's really important to have a few patterns that you can come back to. And these are the ones that my teacher gave me. So I know that they're really good.
All right. Thank
Well,
you.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully that helps.
All right.
We'll come back in a second and do the Sligo Maid a little bit.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Let's see, I'll go back to that one here. Actually, I'm going to stop the video, and so then I don't have